what was the biggest problem that I saw when I was there? It was contamination from bales that were selling them. And unfortunately, when the material leaves here, it goes through a lot of different people. It has to go generally to an exporter, then to a Hong Kong buyer, and then from the Hong Kong buyer into the mainland, and it may go through many other hands before it finally gets to the person who's going to make a new product out of it. And what we see is that because of that system, there's not a good feedback loop to the generator of the material. And because the demand for these products is higher than the supply, there's really a reticence to let people know that there's a problem with quality unless it's just horrible material and doesn't even leave Hong Kong. So what I saw was a lot of material that we're shipping over there, bales with plastics that didn't belong in there. For example, if you're creating a rigid plastic bale, some stiff plastic, you shouldn't be putting the film plastic, the bags and wraps in with it, because the facility that it goes to is not going to be able to handle that. So it's really important that we have the right material put in there. And just like here, if it's not plastic, then a plastic recycler can't recycle it. So things that are contaminants are problem materials, dirt, rocks, grit, non-plastic fabric. I saw a lot of fabric and other materials like that, no matter how good they are over there, they can't recycle that material either. So it's really important to realize when we're generating these bales of material that, first of all, human beings are going to be dealing with it. So if you are a consumer and you can't be bothered to rinse or scrape out that mucky salsa out of that container, just throw it away. Don't bother to recycle it, because a human being is going to have to deal with that at some point, and by the time they get it, it could be really stinky. The other thing to realize is that we should not be selling dirt and grime and broken glass and the wrong plastics in these bales, because they don't have as sophisticated a solid waste system as we do. And then what we're doing is selling trash that may not end up being handled properly. But if we sell them plastic, then they're going to recycle it. And plastic recycling actually is a growing business in China. I was over there for a few different conferences, and I saw a lot of young people who are very excited about this industry getting involved in it. One day at the conference they had a trading fair, and I went outside. There's a lot of rock and roll music playing and young people busy showing each other samples and trading material. So it really is a vibrant business, and it's creating good jobs. It's creating jobs, warehouse managers and traders and controllers of material. I met a PhD graduate student who was in charge of the lab that did the testing for the material once they got it recycled to make sure it ended up going to the right market. But what I showed you before is there's also some very low skilled jobs and really not somewhat unsavory jobs. They can be. And what I'm hearing is that it's getting harder and harder to fill those jobs. As the economy is improving in China, as the middle class is growing, it's harder to fill those low-value jobs. And as a result, you see the technology improving in China, and their economic advantage over us as far as recycling this material is disappearing. And what we need to do is to realize that we cannot rely solely on China to take our material, and we need to develop our systems here in the US. So what did I really learn? Yes, they'll recycle it, they can sort it, they can use it, and they need it because China is a huge manufacturer of products, and they need that low-cost material. I also saw that there's a strong emphasis in China on the circular economy. And the central government is investing a lot of money into setting up systems to capture goods. And they aren't doing this because they're environmental minded. They're doing this because they have a very big population and they have low natural resources. They don't have that much oil or lumber, things like that. They need to recycle this material in order to have the raw material to make new products. So why, again, I said let's not rely on China completely. Why? Because their costs are increasing and their value, they're not going to need our material. And one of the really interesting things is that when I first got in this business and when plastic recycling first started in China, they imported almost 100% of the scrap plastic that they recycled. And now that percentage is down to 30 to 40% of the plastic that they recycled is imported. The remainder is generated from their own internal scrap. So they're not going to need our expensive scrap plastic in the future. And we're going to have our own systems. Plus, there are a lot of benefits to plastic recycling: economic, energy, jobs, and lower cost goods. And all of those benefits are strongest when they're local. So yes, plastic is being recycled in China. They're doing a great job, but we need to develop our own systems here in the U.S. Thank you.